What is going on, patrons? I know I already gave you some bonus content for today, but it was only 5 minutes long. And I know it's not the quantity, it's the quality. But I'm driving and I was thinking, I'm always thinking about politics. That's my downfall. I always think about politics. And one of the things that crossed my mind while I was driving was the sex strike that's being headed up by Alissa Milano. If you're on Twitter, then you probably have seen the argument between Alissa Milano and our sister, my homegirl, Anoa Changa, who rightfully called her out because Alissa is, not every idea that comes to your head is a good idea, right? Sometimes you need to pause and actually think things through. There's been a lot of things that came to my mind. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. And then I thought about it for 5 more minutes, realized, no, that's not a good idea. And the sex strike, I feel, is one of them for many reasons. Number one, and these are things that everyone has outlined, right? But I wanted to discuss it with you directly because, number one, it's conforming to exactly what conservatives want in the first place. See, a lot of people say that conservatives want traditional abstinence and traditional sex habits and practices or whatever. Number one, I don't believe in tradition. I can't dictate what's traditional to you, and they can't dictate what's traditional to me. What's traditional is based on that individual and the community that they subscribe to, period. But number two, even in conservative circles, they don't believe in abstinence for the purposes of any type of morality. It literally is a part of the power structure of men wanting to control women's bodies. Men want women to be abstinent. They have no intention of being abstinent themselves, and they want women to be at their pleasure. So if a woman loses her virginity or a woman has a sex period, then it's with a particular man who has and asserts power over her. That's the reality of sex in Christian evangelical circles. No matter what they preach on Sunday, that's the reality of it. Notwithstanding all that, the fact of the matter is that on the face of it, this sex strike actually falls right in line with what conservatives say they want from sexuality. Number two, this is one of the main points that no one's pointing out, is that it in no way helps the actual movement on the ground here in Georgia to push back against these draconian and barbaric policies, the Georgia Heartbeat Bill that I've talked with you about several times now. It in no way whatsoever helps that. The number one problem that we have as progressives, not only here locally in Georgia, but nationwide, and I would argue globally, is that we do not have resources. We do not have the resources that we need. Our resources are all absorbed up into one or two or three big name personalities. The Chapo, all the resources are absorbed there. Sean King, resources absorbed there. You have other big name, DeRay McKesson, money goes there. And then you have the Alissa Milano. Now, granted, her money comes from Hollywood, but her platform and her purpose really absorbs a lot of the attention and the energy. And so when she says, let's do a sex strike, people take it as, oh, that's a good idea, leaving all the people who are working in Georgia completely ignored for the resources that they actually need, the manpower, the woman power that they actually need, the money that they actually need to organize and fight back against it. Jordan Peele of the comedy duo Keenan and Peele, and better actually known more now for his thrillers and his movies, Get Out and Us and The Twilight Zone. He's committed to paying his salary, I guess, for a year maybe. He's going to give his salary for a year to Georgia organizers. And that's the kind of solidarity we need. We need freaking resources. We need money. Not only for workers on the ground and organizers on the ground, I would say give to them first and foremost, but we also need money from media, because if you look at, this is a culture war. I've said this before, and I'm gonna say I have an entire episode explaining why all of this is really rooted in the culture war. This bill, this legislation is a part of the culture war. The way they were able to get here is because they are constantly and incessantly pushing the culture war narrative. They are trying to maintain this white Anglo-Saxon Protestant power structure in this country. And they're doing so by putting billions of dollars into media. They are putting billions of dollars into networks like OWN, OANN. They're putting billions of dollars into combined dollars into Ben Shapiro and Steven Crowder and Candace Owens and Turning Points USA and Charlie Kirk. Billions of dollars are being poured into that because they understand, I mean, they're dominating YouTube. We have a couple of really great progressive YouTubers, but I mean, they're putting hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars every year into advertising on YouTube. I mean, there's a reason why when you get done watching a video from me or from David Pakman, you'll get a video recommendation for Steven Crowder. That's because they have resources and they're pouring billions upon billions of dollars combined into their think tanks, into their media outlets, into their personalities, and they've created infrastructure so that they can push a narrative constantly, incessantly, without stopping, without ceasing, that supports this white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, basically white evangelical power structure, male power structure that runs this country. And so that is what we're up against when we're talking about this legislation in Georgia. Not only do they have organizers on the ground, not only do they have money in their organizers, they have money in the universities, they have money in the media, and most of us, I mean, if it wasn't for you, the patrons, I wouldn't be here right now. Quite literally. Could not do it. You know, most of us depend on patrons. And so we have a structural disadvantage. And when you have people with platforms as large as Alissa Milano and the kind of good that she could do, and you generally run into it, people with very large platforms, they could potentially do a lot of good, but then they end up coming up with stupid ideas like a sex strike. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not, you know, you might as well go ahead and count me a skag, because I'm not participating in that, and most people are not going to participate in that. Because here's the other thing, logically, well, you first have to ask yourself the question, what kind of men are these women sleeping with such that they don't agree with them on women's rights and the woman's right to choose? First and foremost, are y'all sleeping with conservatives? I'm sorry, like, don't get me wrong. I know we try to act and pretend like politics should not influence our personal lives and we can be friends. But no, that's bullshit. No. Why are you fucking conservatives in the first place? Otherwise, you're not punishing the people that need to be punished. You're not putting the pain of the strike where it needs to be focused in conservative decision makers. I had to start the video over and hit the wrong button on my keyboard. I mean, you're not putting the pain where it belongs. Conservative decision makers, particularly here in Georgia, but more specifically or more generally across the entire nation. So if you're not sleeping with a Republican, then what good are you doing? And if you are sleeping with a Republican, what the fuck are you doing? That's it. That's it. I mean, there's a whole lot more to say about that, but it really is just a tragedy because some of the biggest platforms that we have in the progressive circles are wasted. They're wasted for virtue signaling, right? They're wasted for things that they think are good ideas, but people on the ground would really quickly and seriously tell them that, no, that's not a good idea. Here's what we have been doing on the ground all this time. All right, folks, that's it. Hope you enjoyed today's full podcast and the bonus episode. A lot more content coming. I'm going to make up for lost time. Thanks to all the new patrons who signed up today. Invite an old friend. Invite somebody to become a patron. I am going to be more dependent on patrons more than ever before. I am going to focus solely on this and nothing else. I am doing writing. I'm writing articles. I'm working on a very important article now that has to do with ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves. It is a movement that is growing, and it grew really throughout the year that I was focused on building the North Star. ADOS took off, and I did not have time to address it or to combat it or to join it, which I wouldn't have done, but I'm just saying. And so now I'm writing an article about that, and working on the studio still. Green screen is up, lighting is up. I'm waiting on some more lighting to come in, a new tripod, may even get a teleprompter so I can read a little bit. And once that's up, I should be able to have some video content out by the in the next 2 weeks, probably the 1st of June. Definitely can have some video content out by then. But that's what's going on. I'm just going to hit it like I know it and do what I've been doing. Thank you. Peace.